Strangers, today is July 19th. My name is Colin Allworth, and I'm going to be streaming a little bit of Jackal and GWT development. Oh, let's get those captions on, see if that's actually working. Um, yeah, so it's been a while since I've been here. Justin's been holding down the fort for me, thankfully, getting a lot done with some interesting work with widget building. I've been able to catch a few of those. And then Ahmed, I see, has been very busy with getting a new build out of Domino UI and saying, okay, let's go ahead and break some APIs now. It's the time. Captions are not showing up for me. It says it's streaming here, but I don't see it in the UI. It should already be on. It should be visible, and this thing says it's streaming. Anybody watching who types back, can you let me know if you see captions? Because I only see them in the little display thingy. It shows me I'm logged into Twitch with the caption tool. I'm going to turn them off, turn them back on again. How about now? Hey, there we go, captions. All right. Today is July 19th. My name is Colin Allworth. I am stuck in Windows because we are going to be trying to fix a bug where the Jackal Maven plugin doesn't work properly in Windows, at least with a new branch I have. And when I say new, I mean from the last time. Oh, that is not the button I meant to click. Thank you so much, Windows, for... Yep, that is very helpful. I know how to move my mouse pointer. Yeah, thanks. This is super helpful. Here we go. So here's the Jackal Maven plugin itself. I am on a branch called 176 Cache Summary, which started as an attempt to say, let's write down to disk what we had anytime that we're caching a build, so that we can use that for a follow-up build to validate that things make sense. There's some performance improvements we can get out of that, just on the sense of, hey, let's check what's on the disk and make sure it matches what the what our hash says, which we now can skip because all of that information is written down for us. And then there is also the ability to say, well, if you've already done this, the last time we built, here were your outputs, now here are your outputs, what are the actual differences? Can we communicate that to a downstream step to say, only these files changed? Are you able to do anything clever about improving your build performance thanks to that? So that's the basic idea of this branch. It is kind of a long-lived branch, as it has added various pieces along the way. Oh, I guess it's not that terrible. No, maybe, let's see, here's from main. Here's the work I did to do the cache summary stuff, and then throw away the Jackal incremental piece. That way Dimitri can do it himself, and then a few other self-review pieces to try to get it ready to merge. Unfortunately, tests are failing when we run it in Windows, and it's because somehow the implementation just completely gets stuck and can't proceed any further. My hunch was that we were getting work done on too many threads, or something like that. I ended up spending just a little tiny bit of time to say, okay, well, how do we pick the number of threads we're allowed to work on? And the answer is 4. We pick 4 threads. So if you don't override worker thread count in some way to say how much work can we split up, so for example, on this machine, I apparently have 32 cores. I could split this up 32 ways, and assuming my project could be parallelized in that many ways, Jackal and Java and potentially Clojure would break up its work into all those different pieces. So my hunch was my virtualized environment and the virtualized environment that GitHub gives us had too few processors, and so this ended up getting stuck because we had some kind of a dependency issue. But since we hard code this to 4, it should be the same no matter what we're doing. So I am going to spend a little bit of time for the next hour trying to debug this. I may get too frustrated doing this on stream because developing, first of all, cross OS, and second of all, Windows, not my favorite thing. And if it comes to it, I may give up and go work on something else here, or back up and say, let's go ahead and not merge this, but get a release out, since it's been quite a while since we've had a Jackal Maven plugin release. And then Dimitri will join us, and we're going to talk a little about WebAssembly and the work he's been doing to use Jackal's WebAssembly features to write a Java project using Maven and compile it to WebAssembly. I don't have a lot of the specifics about this yet. I have seen a small amount of the work he's done, but I haven't done any more than say, that's interesting. We should take a look later. There's other avenues that are possible here. We can apparently compile to Kotlin also. I don't know why you would compile to Kotlin, but it is an option. And one of the other options is we could change our input language. So instead of just handling Java input, we could handle Kotlin inputs and compile either to Clojure JavaScript or to WebAssembly. So those might be something interesting. I don't personally have a lot of use cases for Kotlin at this time. I have been interested in what it is trying to achieve. I have been watching it a little bit over the last 6 years, and I have to say I'm not still really fired up. So feel free to yell at me that I'm wrong, and see if we can find a reason to force using it. So, unfortunately, my Windows machine is gone entirely. Let me make sure I've got the right screen here. Let's see, 7. Yeah, Windows is on 7. So this is still stuck apparently. Yeah, thanks. Move your mouse pointer there. Yep, great. Don't care. This is great. Can I send a Control-Delete? Nope, that just gives me my mouse back. Oh, there was something up here. Aha! Can I close it this way? Oh, good, good. All right. I was trying to share the system here to say, can I have access to a directory on my Linux host machine? And I believe we have this set up properly. Let's free up the mouse, go to shared folders. I am pointing at a particular folder on disk, which home : VirtualBox, and it should be auto-mounted and it should have full access. And for some reason we can't mount it. Do I give it a path? Can we do that? So I can understand that. And then how do I get it to remount from inside of here? Is there a particular button for VirtualBox? Doesn't look like there's one here. I thought that VirtualBox was something that this knew about automatically. Maybe we have to actually plug in the... Oh yeah, here we go. Yes. Do the thing. So maybe once we've got this, it will notice that we have our drive here, our shared drive. Can't mount image. Can't click on it because it's in the wrong computer. As it has no optical drives. Please add a... Oh boy, I like that the defaults don't work. Thank you, Microsoft. This is Oracle's product, of course, VirtualBox, but it's Microsoft's own images. So let's go ahead and change the settings. We can't change them while it's running, so we're going to have to ask the thing to shut down. Yes, I did not. That was not for you. Well, I guess it's the right button anyway. Shut down. Give me my mouse back. Just move this over here. I guess all the rest of Windows went away when you do that. Super helpful. What's interesting, properties and settings. I think I've had this argument before. Okay, so here is our machine. Let's look at our drives. Serial storage. Do we add an extra? Sure, it's on here. None of these look like, hey, here's a CD I want to add. Unless I add it to the controller. Yeah, there we go. And apparently I've got 3 copies of this, so we'll just grab the most recent one. Okay, guest additions is in the drive now. Let's go ahead and change the shared folders to something automatic because I don't think I actually want to specify a mount point. Okay, and then start, I guess. Give this a shot. Thank you for bearing with me, or rather for bearing with Windows. I take no responsibility for the quality of the stream. So the whole auto run thing means it should have just kicked off as soon as it came up. Yep, thank you. I am aware. But maybe we gotta run it by hand. Do we wait longer? Oh, maybe it's in the background. Yeah, that's a useful way to launch apps. Put them behind the current window. Fine. Do all the things. Sure. What's one more reboot? It's not like it's a real computer. Okay. So now it'll work. Um, all right. Let me just make sure we can free up a little of that, because that's a little low. Okay. So in this drive, we should have a... Yeah, here we go. So this directory, we need to go ahead and run Maven. From here, I've got a Maven wrapper to make it a little easier to get it going. But we probably still need Java because it's not a Mac, so it doesn't come with it installed by default, and it's not Linux, so you don't have an easy way to get it. Ending support for Internet Explorer. Thank goodness. That is the best news I've seen on this stream yet. Oh, thank goodness, Bing. Exactly what I want. Windows, let's see. So I think we are requiring a minimum of Java 11 now. Good. 2019 results. What's the easiest way to get OpenJDK for Windows? Yeah, there's Azul, of course. They're great. Hey, maybe Microsoft's got an easy one for us. Oh, good. Yes. Excellent. So we need to get a browser so that we can get work done. It just seems like a joke. Almost there. Now run the installer. At least this installer popped up ahead of the windows instead of behind them. See, I think you guys can see these pop-ups. Yeah, I've got it small enough, far enough in the corner that they're visible. You have new apps that can open web pages. You mean I have apps that can open web pages at all? All right, let's start with a search for Windows Open JDK install. And there's the Microsoft build of the OpenJDK. MSI probably will do the trick. What do you think? You want to guess if it's going to work? Download it. Alpine. Definitely what I... Really? What? I asked for Windows. Okay, here it is. So when you click the MSI, they still make you figure it out for yourself. Okay, so because we're using Maven wrapper, it's going to auto-install a particular version of Maven so we can have consistency back and forth inside and outside the VM. We should probably start by doing a quick test outside of here and make sure that it runs. So let's cd, let's make a new terminal, or pick a different terminal rather. Cd into VirtualBox, Jackal 176. So this is the same directory we're about to use. Maven wrapper, we'll just go ahead and fire this up once. Make sure that it can find whatever it wants. Yep, all right. We are going to install, because first we're going to need to install the Jackal Maven plugin itself into the local Maven repository to make sure we have all the pieces, dependencies, etc. And as part of that, we should be able to get a sample project which will not build properly. What are you whining about? An API incompatibility. Jeez. What version are we running? So this is Java 11, first of all. Oh, and Maven 4.0 alpha. Well, that probably will not cut it. Let's go ahead and change that version. How do you change the wrapper version? Pull a browser over here so I can share this. So this is a nice way to run Maven, just to say, hey, let's make sure we're using the same version no matter what, or let's specify it without installing it on the system. We want to say Maven wrapper, and then we want to say specific version. 3.5.4? No, I think we want 3.8 something or other. The last I saw 3.9.3 was a little twitchy. But let's go back. Let's go back a little further here and make sure that we've got a specific version. 3.9.3, what's an older version? Let's do the 3.8 release, which is the 3.8.8. So we're gonna say Maven wrapper. And I forgot already what it said about the version. It said use -d Maven 3.8.8. So it's going to switch us over to using that wrapper instead. Verify. 3.8.7. That's exciting. Let's give it a crack anyway. See what we get. All right, well, that runs. I'm going to switch. Oh, things are actually building, at least. While this runs, we're going to switch back over to Windows land and go ahead and run the installer. And who'd ever thought Microsoft delivering something that needs you to accept the GNU public license? Yes, I want you to do that. Yes, yes. And over here, it looks like we're running at least a few of the samples. So some of these samples are local only. Some of them are, let's make sure that things fail the way we expect. And some are, let's make sure they succeed the way we expect. So this, for example, is a quick test that the existing plugin as we have it written can build Elemental itself. Ones that are very short are probably skipped entirely. Do I want to allow this? Yes. All right, 20 minutes in, and we've almost got Java running. Sweet. We have Firefox at least. We can go ahead and kill that browser. Yes, thank you. Always close all. Please go away. All right, we can't build at the same time inside and outside the VM. So I think we're going to actually call this success here in 30 seconds. We built Elemental. We'll just do a Control-C. Clean. That way Windows has to start from scratch. And then let's get a terminal up. Which, what's that? Windows run? CMD. There we are. And then we need to go to Z. dir cd jackal 176. Yeah? No. Yeah? Still no. Didn't I just say to set Java home? I mean, there was an option in the installer, and I said, yes, do the thing. So we could set it ourselves, I guess. What is Java on the path? It is not. So this PC, C drive. Is Java under here? Yeah, it is. It's under Microsoft. Makes sense, I guess. Or something. 17077. Really? No right click to paste? Can I just Control V? No. No, what year is it? Windows? Edit? Paste? Still no. Really? Can someone speak up for Windows here? Is this really state of the art? There we go. You can't set environment variables like that. Okay, so that's probably my bad. I don't actually know how to use environment variables in Windows. Yep. Okay, so you have to do it through the UI. That seems absurd, and I refuse to believe it. But I will accept it. Start advanced system settings. Okay, sounds like it's gonna get fancy. Start advanced system settings. Environment variables. Oh, good. Yes, that's what I wanted. Oh, good. Here's the start. Yes, it's definitely over here and not. Really? That's just this little pop-up when you do that? And, yeah, this is helping. Is this the whole Metro UI thing? Didn't this get deleted at some point? Hey, here it is. Okay, cool. My memory served me well, I guess. Okay, we don't have Java Home. Yeah, we do. It's right there. It's right there. Do we need, like, a restart in order to get a terminal to pick it up? I assume so. That would just be the nature of the beast, wouldn't it? All right, we'll try for another restart. So for those who have hung out here before, things may be a little different. Camera may be a little more skewed. I got new monitors this winter, and I just never set them up. And now they're set up, and in the process of getting them on the new arm, or the old arm, I stripped the hex screw, the set screw, and now I can't shift them down the extra inch or two it needs for these to be nice and comfortable. So the good news is my posture is fantastic. I'm always standing up all the way straight. And the bad news is I have to have fantastic posture, otherwise it feels like I'm tiny. All right, let's try this again. Z CD Jackal 176. Right, you don't do /. Well, that looks like progress. Hey, it's real progress. In half an hour, we've gotten to the point of running Maven on Windows. Fantastic. Got a little less than 40 minutes to go before we got to switch gears and give up on this. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to give up for the day or if I'm just going to give up outright on this patch and we're just going to get the old build of Jackal, the old new build of Jackal out. It's going to come time to update Jackal again. I understand that Dimitri has already done that work for us. I'm sure he's going to give us an introduction once we get there. If we can use his branch and he's got everything done, that'd be fantastic. That would save a lot of time. My hunch is that he updated the things that obviously need to be updated, of course, but there's a lot of other stuff that does not obviously need to be changed, but just due to how Basil interacts with Maven, we have to get some other stuff set up. Okay, we are working on the. What are we doing here? We're compiling the tasks themselves, which means the Mojo is next, and then we'll do some integration tests. Of course, we're also downloading, as we say, the internet. All right, so this is the plugin itself. It would probably be a little quicker if I copied this into the local file system rather than going back and forth over the quote-unquote network drive, just because it's probably got to be a little more careful about who's changing what files at that time. So after building that, we should be able to get a test running, and odds are we're going to see it hang, and the hang is the indication of nothing is working properly. That is the bug itself. All right, basic simple tests passed. Integration tests are going to be soon. Okay, it did finally notice that we freed up some space. We have, what do you think we have for free space? 20 gigs free of 40. So this is probably just the size the image is that big. I'm guessing it's a sparse image though, so if we actually use up more of the space, it actually takes up this remaining space, but I can't really tell for sure. Okay, so we're into here now. Once we have done this part, we have actually unpacked our integration tests to the file system. So let's just go take a peek there while this is running. For some reason, we've got a bunch of stuff unpacked directly in here. We were probably trying to figure out this the last time we were working on it. Let's see here. So we're in IT tests. So a good example would be Elemental 2 project. That one should just work, as it were. We've got a POM unpacked, no sources, because the POM is just going to say, hey, I depend on these things, but I don't actually use them. It's a good way of making sure all the pieces fit together and make sense. So let's see. If we go ahead and kill this, because it looks like it's taking a long time, if not actually forever. Can we make a new window? Is that a thing you can do from... No, it's not. Okay. Let's do another Windows run. No. What the? Stop, please. When I say run, I mean the same run as last time. What is run factor? I just want... Oh, it's command. There is no more Windows run. It's Windows command. Are you deciding that I already have one running, so I can't have another one? Is that what just happened? What fresh hell is this? Yeah? Yeah, I guess if you get one, you don't get a second one. Hmm. Well, that's exciting. Restart command. Well, yeah, I know I can hit Control C and get out of this, but I want a fresh one. I want two, that way I can play them against each other. Do JPS or something. Also, I can't Control C out. Oh, there we go. All right, so now if we exit out of this, I can get another one. Can I get two? I cannot get a second terminal. Can I run a second terminal from here? Nope, you just stay in there. That was when you restarted Windows. Yeah. No, I did, but we ran the command at that time after I had done the installer, so environment variables should have been picked up at that time, but apparently we're not. All right. Let's just go ahead and skip through some pieces here. And skip test. How do we skip the integration tests? It's been a little while since I've been using this. Oh, hey, I've got good integration with the mouse now. It can just swipe on out automatically. All right, you can go away, you can go away. We want the plugin that we're using to run our integration tests. Gotta watch chat here, make sure that it's not giving me what I'm asking for, rather than making me search for it. The site plugin, invoker plugin. Invoker.skip, I think, is what we want. Invoker.skip, yes. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and set that. Come back over to 7. So now by hitting install, we're actually going to finish building the entire plugin and deploy it locally. That way we can use it to build Elemental 2 project, and then we can try and debug just that one instance. And then hopefully we can set up a remote debugger so that our IntelliJ on the host machine can debug whatever's happening inside of Windows. Don't have a ton of confidence that that's going to give me anything useful, but it's at least a step to take. Seriously, can we not get more than one command instance running at a time? This has got to be a joke. Do I right-click on this? Another one? Might need to mute Slack. We'll see. We'll see how chatty that gets. Yeah, let's switch back over here. Nope, not this again. Hey. I blurred you. You shouldn't be able to get my keystrokes now. There we go. Oh, good. There's different instructions for each one. Right click. Yeah. In the power user menu, choose command prompt or command prompt admin. Okay. Do you need to actually click that? However, if you want to open 2, you need to, and you run it again, it goes back to the first window. What? I mean, it's been a while, I guess, that this has been working this way. You can call it working, I guess. All right, fine. I have a little more pity, I guess, for developers who I work with who say, oh, I'm on Windows and I'm having trouble getting this working. Found your problem. Choose either the command prompt or the command... Okay. Power user task menu. Windows X. Oh, hey, look, we got an error. Let's focus on that first, huh? This is just installing. Mark failure. Okay, that's a good error. What do we got happening here? And why can't we make this readable? Runtime exception, mark failed. What was the failure, though? Illegal character colon in the... it's interesting we haven't seen this before. Let's take a look at what the task scheduler on ready is doing. We must be doing something naughty in there. I didn't really get a line number, did I? Before I leave this too, let's also make sure it's Windows X. And then command prompt, which is C. Command X C. Aha, look at that. Can we do JPS now from here? We can, so we can get dumps of that. Sweet. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. This is manageable now. Can I resize this? Okay. That was my bad. I should have been more specific. Thank you for letting me resize the window. Can we resize the Windows session so that I can actually blow this up to a reasonable size? And you're right. I could have phrased that better. I take all the blame for that. This is a joke. I think this is a joke. Did it just resize down? Yep, it's shrinking. Oh, it's putting scroll bars. Okay. There's got to be a button for this because I'm gonna get so frustrated. Video settings, adjust window size, auto resized guest display. Yeah, let's do that thing. No. Okay, good. It resized it down instead of resizing up to what I'd asked for. All right. At some point, I have to accept that that is the best we can do. Okay, we're going to look at the task scheduler because now we've got multiple terminals, which is apparently amazing. 291 is our line number. Let's get the mouse out of here so it doesn't try to capture my keystrokes. Thank you. That's not what I'm asking you to do. 291. And it has already failed. We've already caught the exception. It should have already dumped the exception. Exception executing task. We got a debug name, and then we wrote the exception out. So looking real quick at what do we generate when we do IT test. Here's a hello world. Just going to take a quick peek in the cache to see if it's obvious right away what had a colon in it. Looks like we replaced all the colons here with dashes, which is what I would have expected. Maybe it's one of our cache entries. No, these are all pretty boring. All right, let's switch back over to Windows and see if we can get a little more details about what blew up here. I'm going to go ahead and make this thing full screen. Now it's easy for me to get the mouse out. Exception executing task. So this should be the failure here. Mark failure 72. And Java Neo invalid path. Did we interleave the exceptions here? Is that what happened? Something's calling path parser normalize. Yeah, I think we're interleaving two exceptions. Yeah, check out the indentation here. So we need to follow the indentation of this one. And path.resolve. And execute task. Oops, I missed one. Latest result. Local project build cache get latest results. And that is line 47. Okay, so using the key to figure out the cache. Okay, so the context here for what we're trying to do, we want to know what was built by you with not specific to your cache, but specific to the whole project. Sorry, specific to your local project. And so we, in addition to having this shared build cache, potentially shared, it's not shared by default, we also have a local thing somewhere. And I've forgotten where it actually writes to, what that default cache directory is. Let's see, we construct that in build. Go ahead and close this, we don't need that right now. Local build cache should be Jackal Maven plugin local cache. It doesn't have one here, which tells me the tests didn't actually run the last time this fired up. It didn't pick up the Maven command here. Let's just do a clean install. It should be tests.skip, I know. There we go. So this should only run Hello World single, and it should run that off of our current latest. Oh, right, it's a Maven 4. I haven't been working in Maven lately. I've been mostly working in Gradle when I have been able to work. So we need to use the Maven wrapper. No such method error, so we got something stale, it looks like. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. Look at this, I'm in Hello World single. All right, we're down to 20 minutes left before Dimitri joins us and shows me what's up. So I'm guessing we, in other places, do a, hey, automatically replace this with some other string. Okay, so here's the local cache. And look at that, we're writing colons into the paths. So we need to figure out what we're doing for the shared build cache. And I say shared because it is designed and it is trying to use the file system features that we have guarantees about to allow multiple processes to read and write the cache at the same time. This one, however, is specific to this project. That way, if you have a copy of Domino UI or Gwt internationalization already built in your cache, new projects don't need to build it themselves. But they do need to keep track of what they built the last time. That way we can make sure to incrementally build just that. So we need to normalize these here to match how these are normalized. So here's Jackal Bootstrap, Jackal Bootstrap. So something came through and replaced colons with dashes. We need to do the same thing here. So let's look at who resolves this Gwt3 build cache directory. It's complaining that nothing reads it or writes it, but something does read it. And let's look at when we do a build, we pass it to the disk cache. The disk cache then says what? Having trouble finding it. I'm a little out of date with my own code here. Here we go. Two-path resolve, replace anything other than these things with a dash. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to place the key. It uses project name. That's interesting. I wonder if it actually means project name or if it's actually a project key. Yeah, it's a key. It's a project key. And key is that. Okay, so let's go look at local project build cache and accordingly update it to say instead of project key, we're going to do place all blah, blah, blah. And there's probably two places we have to do this because we have to do success and failure. I'm going to be really irritated if this was the only problem and I've been waiting for 6 months to do this. But I mean, that's about right, right? When you don't have time for a project, it gets stuck. Okay, so let's switch. Let's see. I'm unfortunately using more than 16 cores to build right now, which is good news, bad news. Let's just go ahead and kill that because it seems to be sane. Switch back to Windows. We need to get the change into this directory because this is its own separate thing, and then it just hangs forever. This is the real problem. We're going to have to say, hey, Windows can't do incremental, or we need to test failing inside the incremental wiring itself. Why wouldn't you end? Why do I need to hit Control-C so many times? All right, let's push this diff, I guess. And then we can switch over here, and I can't do that because I don't have Git installed yet. But we do have it over here. That's interesting. Did I not push? It says it fetched origin. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so it just didn't show it. Am I in the wrong directory or something? This is the VirtualBox one. Yeah, they're different. I don't understand. I don't care, but I don't understand. So now let's do this again. So the reason we caught this is that I think we moved on to... No, this is running its own tests. Do we have actual tests for this? Please, just run. I don't know how many times I have to hit enter to tell you. Four? I mean, I guess I learned something there, but... Okay, so do we have an actual test for this or something? Is that why this is running in its tests? Or is this part of some other test turning on enough other pieces of the tool to build it? Oh dear, I have no memory of this code at all. Let's see here if we have Vertispan imports here. We just have the config, which is the main thing we're testing. Okay, different failure. That's good. Test ID, archetype ID test app failed. Unable to be deleted. That's unique. Fear a pinch. Sorry I missed your joining us. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I can't clean this. I wonder if there's a problem crossing file systems here, Windows to the Linux host. What are you up to today, Fear a pinch? No, that's not the button I meant. Python. That's what we need now. Let's just really ruin my day. So let's just do a clean from this side. And maybe that will make Windows happy. First of all, just make sure I can clean from here. Yeah, okay. And then we'll try to build. And then I think we'll force just the single hello world to run. And if that works, we're going to see what happens in continuous integration. So when I push, we've got a CI job running. I've got my own notes here, whatever, we'll figure that out in a little bit. Looks like the jobs are running now. OS for Windows is the one that we're particularly interested in, because odds are at this point that CI is going to run faster than my own local build. This is Threadripper from 2017, somewhere in there. Anyway, I bought it specifically with the point of, hey, I'm going to do a lot of testing on Windows and things like that, so it needs to be very good at emulating Windows. But it seems as though no amount of putting this to... Look at that! It is working! Sorry for interrupting myself. Wait, that might be it! That might have been the only problem. Just some stupid pathing on my part. Cool. I would love to get this merged. Okay, let's look at the review and just let this run for a little while. Oh, yes. I sometimes laugh a little when I'm watching Justin get work done at how excited he gets for his own projects, but damn, it feels good to get work done. All right, here's the pull request. Let's close these other irritating distractions. This is Dimitri's incremental. We're not going to look at that right now. Just a beginning developer learning Spring. All right, there's a lot to be said for it. You can integrate with a lot of big teams and help them out, but I can't stand Spring. It's just too much magic, and here's how we put all these pieces together. But it is excellent at allowing a wide variety of team members to be effective by just focusing on small modules that they turn out and making sure those cookie cutter bits of code all go together well. So I won't say too much bad about it from that perspective. All right, let's probably should junk this in the future. We're not going to do this today. We should make an issue for this, because if you're going to defer some work, you will never get back to it if we don't do this. So let's see, what do we actually have about this? Why do we need a reader for these? I think a reader means a way to look at what's on disk from the last time you built and try to tell you about your build. Kind of a SOIC except for build times. So let's go ahead and make sure that we are actually reading this internally. That is in default disk cache summary. So this is called to be written, of course. And then we also call cache summary to read it. Okay, so when we say to read it, what we mean is visually, well, as a user-facing reader for these files. So we'll just go ahead and drop something here. Do we have a good label for cleanup? No, we don't. Fine, doesn't matter. Let's make something new for Oh boy. Wish I could type. Pendant on. Yeah, that's not what I meant. 225. So this is terrible. We need to factor all that out at some point, but not today. We're just going to go after what is stopping this from merging right now. Look at this success. I can't believe it. That's all this was all along. Okay, this is atrocious. Oh no, it's just going to say, hey, we couldn't do it, it's fine. But this was the only part that was failing here. So our real bug here is that we didn't try catch around this. No, we did. There's a try here. And then it ignores it. The cache won't work for now. Oh. Let's see, which part of this actually failed? Mark local success. See that? It's confusing because mark local success. The problem must be when you mark a success and there's actually a failure, that there's a problem there. Okay. 226. All right, let's go check on Windows. All right, so it seems to be stuck again. So maybe we didn't fix it entirely. It's hard to tell, though. Let's see, we got another terminal somewhere around here. I think I want this one. It is reading from what? Oh, it's just reading standard in, I guess. Yeah, this looks like a hang. Here's our main, and then it cuts everything off. Awesome. Actually, it looks like it's waiting for the test itself. So that is not what we wanted to be looking at here. Let's try one of these other launchers then. Probably 3236 or 3464. Let's try 3464 first. We're waiting. Windows junk. Looks like just waiting for work to do. Resolver, what is that going to be doing? Yeah, just waiting for work to do, waiting for work to do. So it's just a bunch of thread pool threads waiting for work to do. And then here is the actual Mojo running, which we can't read because there's not enough scroll back. How is that the default here? Do we have like 5,000, please? Oh, 500. Oh, 3-digit numbers, huh? Oh, that's the number of commands you can have. I guess I need to say I want to have more columns of scroll back. That's how big it is. Let me jack this up to 120, something exorbitant like that, and figure out how to get the... How many... That's got to be it. Let's see. All right, try the command again. Nope, that's as far as we can scroll back. But at least we've got all the way through this one here. So here's where it's running. It's collecting tasks, and then it's awaiting on work getting done. And apparently it did not actually get past that. Okay, so this is more likely the real problem. Did we get an actual log out of this? Let's make another one here. Actually, let's go look at what directory are we in? Test app in the archetype. So we're building archetypes, and that's where it blew up. The simple archetype. I have 1 minute. I'm supposed to be meeting with Dimitri. Dimitri, you around? Better get a Zoom call going so we can start that up. Simple target test classes. Awesome. 10 minutes would be perfect. It looks like it's just stuck here. So I think we're going to kill this and we're going to run it manually. We'll cd into this directory and run it manually. All right, so we need to go to Jackal archetypes. These don't make sense. Hey, LS works on Windows. Well, that's nice. I don't want servlet, I want simple. There we go. Oh, I see. The problem is my slashes. Screw you, Windows. That's interesting. dir versus ls. All right, let's build this now directly. What's the easiest way to do this? Because I've already got our Maven wrapper up at Jackal 176. Maven wrapper command. There we go. Error when interacting with the disk cache. Okay, so that's a real incorrect function. What the heck does that mean? Give me the exception, because the full stack trace will blow the buffer, and we won't actually be able to read it. Let's go look at the CI, because I'm guessing CI is going to fail. Oh, we had one other one fail. This is working now. Incorrect function. Oh boy. Our watch service can't work? on Windows. Wait for task. Windows Watch Service incorrect function. I don't want to deal with this. This is C#. This is Python. So is it just not liking the path because of some kind of... That could be that this is just a uniform, hey, rather than implement useful errors, we're just going to give you this crap. Let's take a look at what we might be generating here for our build. Wait for task, line 571. That's in the build cache. I forgot already which class I was in. This cache. Okay, so we've already thrown, we just caught this IO exception that would have told us where this should have happened. Let's look for what would have happened in here. Okay, so here's the IO exception, which is caught 571. Caused by incorrect function polar impl register in a thread.run. Why are we getting this cross-thread exception? That's what it looks like to me anyway. Oh, stop it. Oh, I see, because we're saying, hey, kill the cancelable. So we are catching an exception here. And we are pretty high up in the stack trace. Yeah? No? No, yeah, I guess it's pretty deep here. Wait for task. So we are waiting on some other thread to do something. We have... Oh, how did we catch that exception? Iteral for each. It'd be so much easier if I could copy this back and forth. It also looks like it logged it twice. Block until finished. So that is waiting for that to finish. This is the main thread where the work is actually happening. Here's the submit where the task, I guess, is actually submitted. 149 in the scheduler. But none of these are going to get us to the IO exception in this window watch service polar. I would hate to have to run my IDE in this constrained environment here. Can I make this bigger? This is really super irritating. That's going to be too big. Sorry, you guys can't see this pop up. What's my resolution here, actually? Is that going to be... No, that's smaller. Let's go bigger. So that's 1200 by 720. It didn't do anything when I clicked that one. Yeah, it's just ignoring my click when I try to make too big of one. All right, that's what we got, I guess. So what is starting up the window watch service thread? Impl register. So it must be some call to one of these watch calls. And it was it interacting with the local cache that it failed? With the disk cache. Disk cache, wait for cache, failed. Coming in from 209 of the task schedule. Okay, and then here it was going to poke the disk cache, and the disk cache said no. So 209 is that we're in here, we're doing a wait for task. So we're waiting for the work to finish, and then that's when this is going to get called next. So somewhere in here then, switching back, we're at 571, which is where the catch actually happens. So something threw an IO exception up here somewhere. Let's hide this. I mean, it could have been reading bytes. Oh, that one doesn't throw. It doesn't throw. It's probably some register. Hey, watch out for this thing to happen. This could have thrown if we couldn't create a directory. Couldn't create a file. And it looked like incorrect function. I mean, obviously we don't have any real context here. But it should be the watch service. We think we're seeing it from the watch service. The question is it something we're actually watching here, or is it one of these, hey, please make a file things, and one of those is breaking? Like here, register watch create. If you're on a Mac, we have to do something specific because watching is pretty slow on a Mac. So we use this other project here, directory watcher. Otherwise, we just use the task directory itself. We say that it's watchable, and then we call register on it. So the fact that we're calling register here makes me think that that's related to this point down here of register impl blowing up for the Windows watch service. So still didn't mean to hit that, but I do it every time. So I'm guessing it's this register call here that's going off thread and doing something else, and we're waiting on that. So I wonder how we get the Windows implementation of this. But it seems as though it really doesn't like the path itself that we're passing it, which is this task directory. I got like 4 people talking to me. Just a second here. Make sure that nothing has to be addressed in the immediate future. Okay, I can read that later. So this is the implementation from Mac, which is not what we're going to be doing. So it looks like it's watchable.register is the problem. Not quite. Yeah, okay, that's just can't type Java. The fact that we're not seeing anybody else having this problem makes me think either I'm myself doing something exceptionally stupid, or I'm barking up the wrong tree. Dimitri, feel free to flag me whenever you're ready. By the way, the latest directory watcher is, yeah, if they don't fix Windows problems, I'm not sure I care much. Thank you, though. Let's go here. I'll send you the link for the call as soon as I get this working. Yeah, there it goes. Oh, it's making pop-ups. That's what it's doing. Dimitri, I'm going to email this to you, I guess. It's being a little bit of a jerk. And now Google's logging me out. Thanks. Thanks, guys. It's usually in the middle of a meeting. I get kicked out of the Hangout. But so I guess this is better in that regard. All right, let's try that copy again. Link. All right, Dimitri, first email I can find quickly was your work email. So just go ahead and join that, and then we'll get this going. As soon as you join, I'm going to pause the call here for everybody else, the stream, and then I'll get things set up because I'm going to give the floor over to him to talk about what's going on. This is more fun than watching me debug Windows without being able to debug very nicely. So I think the first thing I'll put is some extra logging right here, just to say, hey, what should it have been? Just to make sure the path isn't something dumb. We take the key and we cancel it in a couple different cases, but that's pretty much it. So I'm guessing the Windows implementation must... Where do we find the Windows implementation? Gotta be in GitHub, right? I just want sources for it. Because I think all of OpenJDK we can easily find on GitHub. See, I don't want everything. Yeah. The source code is here. Okay, so I'm using 17. And then we want the Windows Watch Service, right? Windows Watch Service folder. Okay, so what do we do? T Windows Watch Service. Here's the polar, and let's get that line number. 434. Okay, so this explains why it's just throwing straight from in there. Are we on another thread when we're doing this? We're going to try impl register, open the directory, read its attributes, assign a completion key, start async read, create or return existing key representing registration. Okay, 434. So we are here. We've already done some cleanup. We got a Windows exception. The Windows exception just says invalid function. So it's something about either create and attach event or read directory changes. So I think odds are excellent that our path is something terrible and that we just need to build a better path. This is probably a native function. Let's see here. Yeah, native. So we get roughly nothing out of there. This Windows exception is what will get thrown. What was the other call? The non-native one. create and attach event. Probably not this one. Well, it's just some interacting with unsafe, but this create here could throw a Windows event. So here's an oddity. It only is failing in my local dumb VM, but it worked there. And sometimes these other tests fail. This shouldn't be taken as a indication there's something actually wrong here. I mean, there is something wrong, but it's not going to stop us from releasing because it's been broken for a long time. And it's intermittent. So we'll rerun all the tests in a minute. Let's try a clean build and just see if whatever it is gets shaken out, and we're just going to go ahead and blame Windows until we figure out what's actually wrong here. I think it would be worth doing a little more logging when this fails, because Windows is just going to be useless. Let's do a clean. Make sure we can clean. Make sure we're not getting another permission problem. Yeah, I am suspicious that we are having a file system problem here rather than an actual problem. And yeah, something funny's happening there too. Let's just hide that one for right now and copy this whole project into our host file system. I'm sorry, our guest file system. When I click this button, I would like another one, please. I need more than one window so I can drag this somewhere else. Let's just drag into documents. Copy to documents. Perfect. The source names are longer than are supported by the file system. Windows still has really terrible file system names? Is that the problem? That would be embarrassing for somebody. That'd have to be really short. We don't do anything that rude, do we? We'll do a fresh build once we get it copied in. All right, want to try that again? See if we can be less embarrassed. Oh, this is not that many files. Okay, well, let's move over to C. Dimitri, you should have that invite in your email. In your work email. Yeah. Sorry, having a little trouble with Gitter right now. Mostly I'm having trouble with my own local machine, but it's been busy, all right? We'll get everything back straightened out soon. Why does this take so long just to move source files? There's nothing interesting getting moved here. Okay, so there's Git details. I guess that's probably the problem. One megabyte left to move. It'll only take us 45 seconds to move 1 megabyte. Excellent. It's possible I should have some standard script of install Java, checkout from Git. I'd really rather not push to GitHub every time I have to change something. But we'll see what we got to do, huh? The problem is these are all tiny files, and I guess the copying routine here is look at a file, copy it, look at a file, copy it. So this should at least share our M2 directory. So we should start off from scratch by compiling. Here's a headache. Our Windows environment is inside of our Windows environment. You can see our VM, our disk image. Not a disk image, what do you call it? Our VM. I'm inside of here. All right, so this time I'm running the full build, and I'm going to let this run in the background while Dimitri and I are chatting, because this is going to take a little while, and I want to make sure that there's nothing intrinsic to this VM. It was just intrinsic to the file system shenanigans that were going between the guest and the host. Let me make sure this is all sharing. Yep, you should be able to take control once you get here. And then I will have to deal with the audio once we're here. So I'm gonna hit the be right back screen as soon as we've got Dimitri, and then we're gonna get audio sorted, and then I'll be back. I guess that's gonna include me putting on headphones. Then I have a hard stop in about 40 minutes. So I'm gonna have about that long. I may come back this afternoon. Hey, it looks like he's joining. I may come back this afternoon. We'll just sort of see what the day has for me. So it says he joined, but now it looks like, oh no, here he is. Just waiting for this to kick in and behave. Dimitri can't see or hear you, by the way. Okay, so we got a failure. That's not necessarily bad yet. Looks like I can see you now. Yep, I can hear you. Awesome. All right, I'm going to hit the right back screen. We're going to get the audio set up here, and then we'll hand the mic over. All right, we're back. I have Dimitri set up. I think we've got the audio set up right, because I hear him very clearly. He's going to talk to us about WebAssembly.
Yeah, hello, Colin. Thank you very much for the invitation. Yeah, I don't think I need to talk a lot what is like assembly is, because like most of us quite familiar with that technology and what is it. So yeah, web J Jackal team, Google Jackal team recently added support to compile Java to WebAssembly, and for us it's like a huge luck. So now we're able to compile our Java application not only to JavaScript but to WebAssembly as well. So since it starts to be stable, I added support to compile to WebAssembly to our Jekyll Maven plugin. To be honest, it was like much easier than I thought before. Thank you, Colin, for your flexible internal structure of tasks. And I created simple application to demonstrate how it works and what is it. 2 months ago, I finished working on my Java Pojo to YAML marshaller. So it's a great example from my point of view to demonstrate the real application instead of like hello world. So on my screen here you can see like a simple Maven multi-module application. It contains of WebAssembly modules, which is application, and for three dependencies like DTO module 1 and module 2 to demonstrate that it works with multi-module setup, and web module, which is just a common Jekyll application that allows us to run WebAssembly inside of the browser. So here just a set of pretty simple Java details annotated with YAML marshaller annotation. And the starter that show us how it works. I would like also to mention that there is an annotation that called WASM entry point. It works as an export. So it points this method as an export method.
So it's like how we put JS method on our entry point and then create it from a native JS file?
Yeah, there are two ways to communication with WebAssembly modules, exports and imports. So using imports, we can call methods outside of WebAssembly applications.
For instance, this is your own annotation.
Yeah, from JavaScript world, for instance, from the browser, like regex, gate, and so on, that primitives, and that's the imports. Exports, that's the methods that be called from JavaScript. So we can annotate some methods inside our WebAssembly application, and these methods will be callable from JavaScript. So that's what I added it to Jekyll Maven plugin, and it works absolutely the same as GUID incompatible annotation. So you don't need to have any additional Maven artifacts in your class path, or you need just an annotation with that name. So it's pretty cheap and very easy because it's necessary to have a very flexible something really flexible to work with exports, because we don't need to care about imports. Jekyll provides a very easy way to work with imports. Any JS type classes that we have in our class path will be added automatically as an imports to WebAssembly application. So thanks to Jekyll team, we don't need to do anything. So let's compile our application and see how it works. I would like to mention that two Jekyll Maven plugins works right now, one for WebAssembly application and one for the web application. So WebAssembly works much faster
Well, it's not
mostly because it.
optimizing, right? It's just taking the
No,
WebAssembly.
no, no. It's optimizing.
Well, but binary n, how much it
Yes.
can optimize is very different from what Clojure can do.
Yeah, of course. I
It's more like
use.
linking than optimizing.
You could say so, but I use three-step binary optimization, which also could be considered as like much more deeper than just linking
Sure,
optimization.
sure. That's fair.
But anyway, yeah. So WASM compilation finished, and now we're compiling our web application. Yeah, it's all done. So what the test is, there is an instance of YAML mapper, and I run serialization and deserialization 100,000 times. And firstly, I run it for, let me show you the starter.
Yeah, yeah.
So, must be here. So initially, I run JavaScript implementation and later WebAssembly implementation just to compare the speed.
And you're looking up there to say find the onModule load method and then calling apply on it because that's going to return like a function. Yeah, the export's cool. Okay.
So yeah, there is on module load, and here it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exported
And
as a function.
You're logging keys. Is that actually like hooking up logging, or is that?
No. I just do like a simple check what is exported.
Okay, gotcha.
You can ignore that. So all we need to start the application is application and self and a helper. And a helper that been generated by Jekyll for us. It contains some bootstrap code. For instance, it generates for us that set of imports.
Is that per module that it generates one of those?
No, that's the whole set of imports we need to run our WebAssembly application.
Okay.
So what I do here, I just copy the generated bootstrap from the target of like our application here. That's all. Yeah, and it's JavaScript Clojure, annotated JavaScript.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, hundreds of thousands, deserialization. It's something that takes time. So I expect it to be finished within 40 seconds for JavaScript and pretty much the same for WebAssembly. So I run it right now on the latest Chrome with only 2 features turned on. It's a garbage collection. So it's already part of Chrome, and string reference. JavaScript finished in 38 seconds. Now WebAssembly application is running. Let's wait for the finish. So I modified my YAML marshaller a little. I don't use JavaScript regexp. I ported Google's alternative implementation of regexp, which called re4g. which is for some strange reason, WebAssembly application took a little bit longer.
But you said usually it's about
Uh,
the same.
yeah, usually it's
Okay.
about the same. The reason why it's not like that fast, mostly because like I did some sort of investigation, because current garbage collection in the Chrome for WASM is not like perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and string emulation is not really great. But I consider that as like something like permanent, like temporary, because like guys working on that, and I think it will be much better than we have now.
And probably if you had a
What I
use case where you were manipulating numbers as opposed to strings, WebAssembly would shine.
Yeah, of course. Why I did the test that serialize and serialize like objects, it generates like math, like where many objects, like short-living objects.
Really test garbage collection.
Yeah, and it's great to test garbage collection, and moreover, it's utilize strings under the hood because it works with YAML.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really great test case. But yeah, so let me show you what I did for Jekyll project itself to have it. First of all, I just like rebase it with upstream and edited several Maven modules like J2CL, which is J emulation layer for WASM that has no JavaScript wrappers and so on. And backend WASM that contains, in target, that contains some Clojure Bootstrap classes mostly for tests. Because thanks to Jekyll team, tests works like absolutely the same as we used to do them
Oh, that's
for
awesome.
JavaScript application.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention that exceptions also works. That's great news for us. So we can throw exceptions from WebAssembly application and catch them on JavaScript.
But they don't look like Java exceptions when they cross that barrier, right? They look like a JavaScript exception.
Yes.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. It
Yeah.
would be just
Yeah.
like going from one Jackal application to another one. They don't know about each other's types.
Yeah. Because under the hood, um,
Does
except
WebAssembly not have
exception,
exceptions?
not yet.
Oh, okay.
Because under the hood, exceptions are just imported math.
So J2 WebAssembly, if that has to be an export, is there some JavaScript that they define that handles this?
uh, so that's the imports for WebAssembly, and WebAssembly can call that objects uh, from JavaScript. And yeah, exceptions is just a normal JavaScript classes that
So
simulates
application
that.
module JS is just plain Clojure JavaScript. So do you have to run Clojure on this, or is it a better idea to run Clojure on this so that you get an optimized module loader?
Mm, no, The loader for WebAssembly is also Jekyll application.
Okay.
And and I have them compiled like
Oh, I see.
in
Because the JavaScript file is in your Jackal JavaScript project, Clojure just says, okay, I'll just go ahead and crunch through these requires and build them.
yeah
Got it.
yeah
So J2 WebAssembly, that namespace that you have there, is that a new
yeah
dependency that you added to your POM so you can pull those in?
yes
Okay.
yeah yeah.
And is that the same as the Bootstrap or the JRE, or is that something else?
That's the backend WASM.
Oh, it's the backend. I thought the backend was the part that actually generated WebAssembly.
No, that's the set of JavaScript utilities for
Okay,
WebAssembly.
okay.
Like if you see like char utils, console utils, and so on. It's mostly it's just like JS typed classes.
Hmm, okay.
No. It's pure Clojure JavaScript classes. But if we want to reuse them, we need to write JS type wrappers.
If you want to reuse them,
So
share them with your own application. Got it. Okay, okay.
see what Clojure utils contains some like JavaScript classes to work with console, and here like that's the Java wrapper for WebAssembly to call that JavaScript Clojure class.
And you need this from your own WebAssembly to call it directly
Mhm.
instead of using. What would it normally do? How would it normally work to call console, J2 WebAssembly console, if they don't provide the JS types?
Know-how, because WebAssembly environment know nothing about consoles and so on. So we need to
Oh,
provide
okay. I guess I'm
to
asking it wrong.
WebAssembly.
What I'm saying is, why does J2 WebAssembly even have a console utils? Or are you saying, actually, I'm misunderstanding, and that this is turning your console utils into this code here?
Uh, Console utils um, is a built-in class
Hmm.
inside
Okay.
of Jekyll project. So to use them, which is
Oops.
created specially to be run from WebAssembly application.
Sorry, I
So
just
to
hit your
work,
screen. I gotta put it back. There we go.
no worries. So to use it from WebAssembly application, we need to do two things. First of all, we should have it in a class pass.
Mhm.
So during the compilation time, uh, Jekyll will uh, generates it as an import, uh, as I showed before, like here
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
WebAssembly. And secondly, we need to create a JS type wrapper to call it from like Java WebAssembly application.
They did the
That's how
first part, but not the second part, or the console util.
no, after that we just can use it as a logger. That's all, like here.
Okay. I think I'll have to try it, figure it out, because I don't quite follow.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for that.
Oh,
Uh,
I see. This is how you use the other two modules that are in your project. Do some cross-module work.
Yeah, I just tasted that multi-module application works as well.
Okay, okay. No, I see. Okay.
So it's just like,
Sure. It just prints that.
yeah,
Didn't they
yeah,
say
just
on the mailing list or in the issue tracker you had a conversation with someone about multiple separate modules?
yeah. Right now, it generates uh, just one application. No, it's not here. Where? What? Where is what? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, here it is.
Okay.
Module what? So what that module what contains all of the code from all the modules.
Do you pass it the sources to do that, or does it take the bytecode or something, or the intermediate WAT code?
Yeah, later I use binarian to compile it to WASM,
Right,
WASM executable
to the
code.
binary format. Yeah.
Yeah, to the binary format. Yeah. So yeah, what they're going to do, they're going to generate like a module for a Java class, as I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's really great. It means we will reuse your great incremental subsystem to speed up the compilation for big projects.
Nice to get that for free. Cool. It is going to make it a little harder to use in general from like the plain command line, but that's not really the use case we're worried about.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what I can do, what I
Right.
can say about that. So, what about Jacobian plugin itself? I created a new task, which is WebAssembly task, web application task, and to have it works, I need to perform less steps than we do in JavaScript. First of all, I need to run a bytecode task to run annotation processors. Secondly, I need to have a GUID and compatible stripper to like to strip from unsupported parts that can be compiled to WebAssembly. And I have one more additional step that do lookup for modules for experts and binarian step, and that's all. Yeah, I also tweaked a little tests because I need to produce some like additional classes to run WebAssembly steps. All of them works on the top of WebAssembly closure JavaScript classes, and works really great. So what I can do, I can create a pull request to update Jekyll, and I also can do later pull request for WebAssembly for Jekyll main plugin itself. But there are a few things I would like to discuss with you. First of all, how we call the properties, the configuration properties of, yeah, because maybe we need to, yeah, we don't need this configuration step because it works automatically, but we can override or add something. Maybe we need to use some prefix for instance for initial script file name. So for WebAssembly, maybe we can use some prefix for WebAssembly specific configuration things like WebAssembly.
Sure. Do you
Yeah.
think we would likely have a single application, so a single Maven module that would produce both WebAssembly and JavaScript? My impression from what you've said so far is it makes more sense to have first a WebAssembly project and that produces output, and then second a JavaScript project which depends on it. And so we could change the name of this, of course, but as long as one is WebAssembly and the next one is JavaScript, that seems to be separate and consistent enough since this is just for output. Or what am I missing?
Absolutely agree with you.
Okay.
My view, I totally like absolutely the same. I'm just thinking how to make it easier for end user, but maybe it makes no sense. So but we need to. So in this case, I have no issues, absolutely no issues. But there is only one issue I have to fix in the future because, for instance, I have maybe an application, maybe a multi-module application that has a WebAssembly application and JavaScript web application, and like Maven install Maven verifier package works great, but not watch mode.
Oh, is it because of your
Because
AMP copy, or is it something else?
because to run watch mode, I need to define the plugin, the Jekyll plugin, on the top level of my multi-module Maven application. Yeah, to be able to run it like
because it needs to be
this
able
one.
to know where it's going to write output to for the whole reactor. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this case, it means that application and web Maven modules have definitions, have also Jekyll Maven plugin itself. And which one will be choose at first, from which Maven application? From the first one or from the second?
I don't quite follow. What would be picked? Do you mean the output path?
Yeah, see. No. See, application has Jekyll Maven plugin, yeah? And web also has Jekyll Maven plugin.
And this should work out of the box with two JS apps. When you run watch from the root directory, it should build both of them.
But it's not.
Oh, it isn't? Oh, okay. Well, that's a problem. Okay.
No. So if you want, I can file the bug.
Yeah.
To take a look
it should work just with two plain JavaScript apps in different modules, because it should detect where each one is and build each one separately and then watch each one separately. We've got the added wrinkle here that web depends on part of application so that it can pick up that closure stuff. Right now you've got the ant wiring that does that, but that obviously won't work for real. Say stitch these together.
But to be honest, I don't think it's like top priority or even more like medium priority. I have zero issues with that right now.
Okay.
But one day maybe we can have I don't know, two sections in a Jekyll Maven plugin that defines where is like WebAssembly application, where is JavaScript application, how we.
Yeah, I don't think we should need that though, because I mean, you conceivably could have many different WebAssembly applications built into one or even more JavaScript applications. It seems to me we shouldn't need that.
Okay, that's debatable. We can discuss it on the GitHub discussions like later.
Okay.
But for now, I would say that I'm really satisfied how it works. It works really well. What I'm going to do next, I would like to test how it works not only in Chrome, but with like some modern WebAssembly environments like WASM, and so on, because there must be like zero issues as well, like WebAssembly everywhere is WebAssembly. We can say the same about Java, but looks like second try much better than the first one.
I mean, it'll certainly have a smaller runtime. You don't need to drag the whole JVM with you. Do you know how it? Do you know if you can tell it, hey, there's no browser over here, so you can't do things like console or date? Actually, date. Yeah, date won't work.
I just need. I just don't need to have any JS type in my class path, so imports will be skipped. so I will have no such imports. And moreover, I will don't need to use uh, Jekyll JS wrappers to run that application. Only WASM
Right, exactly. Just call it
executable.
directly and just have an export,
Yeah.
a single export to call in.
Yeah, and if I decided to provide like data or some objects, I will be able to do it like using the same JS type wrapper, but environment specific way, like in like Rust way or Go way or something like that.
Sure, there's also the WASI spec, if I remember correctly, to say, hey, there's some other environmental stuff that you can pick up.
Yeah, that's my second sphere to investigate, because with WASI we can do like crazy stuff.
Okay, like file system access and other junk like that.
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic about that.
Awesome. Okay.
So I think that's all from my side.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much. This is spectacular to hear that it was that easy. I'd love to see more about what that task is, but I don't think that's a great thing for the call because it's me staring at a lot of code and saying, Um, but thank you for
Uh,
the intro.
yeah, and yeah, your like these caches and so on works pretty much the same in WebAssembly, so there are no additional costs and downsides. So
Is there
all
any
good.
common caching between them? I mean, I imagine the GUID incompatible and possibly the turbine is shared.
Mm, no, I don't
No?
think so.
Okay. Okay. It would just be nice to know that you only got to build some of the stuff once at least.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I'll take a
so
look and
that's
poke over
all.
on there.
Yeah, I will do pull requests for both for uh, Jekyll itself and for Jekyll main plugin late
Sure.
after that.
And the flip side is, even if we can get the Jackal stuff merged so that we can produce some new artifacts and update and deal with all that, you can actually publish the WASM task as its own jar, and it will be loaded by a service loader. Oh, except you also need the other configuration, the Mojo changes. God, okay, we have to get that in then too.
Yeah, let's discuss it later.
Yeah.
But I adjusted one additional like Java file. If you want us to publish it as like a standalone jar, let's do that.
Mostly, I was thinking
But
while things are still in flux, that could be a step forward. But now that I think about it, it's going to be much harder to get the Jackal Maven. Sorry, the Jackal project's
no,
Maven
as,
wiring correct.
as an engineer, I like your idea. You have to know that flexible system based on class loaders.
Right. It just has never
So
mattered. Nobody's ever used it that way.
yeah, but I don't think
Cool.
that's one day we'll have some like alternative implementation of the tasks for WebAssembly
Right.
to have it switchable. So
Especially with the incremental stuff. I imagine there's going to be a little more of that experimental incremental pieces that we don't want everyone to use.
yeah, and next week we'll uh, take one more look into my incremental. So
Well, don't
after
worry.
you
Next week they're also going to release a new elemental, so we'll have some new stuff to test there too.
catch it.
For those who didn't follow the conversation, about 3 weeks ago they told us next week they would release a new elemental version, and then nothing has happened. But I'm sure it'll happen very soon.
They looking for manager of a manager who must accept that. So yeah,
I've
like
got one more question. Have you looked at all about the fact that they removed a GWT test case? That's the one thing I'm scared about updating to latest. is that we're going to lose the ability to compile GWT test cases. And we're going to have to fork and keep old code around to keep that back.
That's pretty strange because I can say I was focused on that, but from the top of my head, nothing changed. So
right, it's mostly so the JUnit 4 testing is all still there. They just pulled out the compatibility layer that works with old GWT 2 projects.
yeah, I think they removed something quite GUID specific.
Right. So that's going to make it harder for
But
us to cross compile our or cross test our other projects, all the GWT modules.
mm,
So that's the one concern I
yeah,
have about updating all the way to latest. I think we're going to want to go with something a month or two old. That way we can make sure that all that stuff still works and start a migration path for everything else.
let me check that.
Okay.
I'm not really
Yeah.
sure. I have to check that. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome. It's really nice to see, nice shrink wrapped example that holds together really well. WebAssembly is I'm not really personally sure it's worth the time yet for the average application developer to learn about it. It is a lot of fun though, and I think the use cases will be getting better as like you say, string handling and garbage collection gets better. For us to say it's worth offloading math. I've got some heavy math work that I write
Yeah.
right now in GWT for another project. I'm not really sure if it's going to be worth it to hand off to WebAssembly because I know the costs of calling into and out of WebAssembly are high. But if it's cheap enough, that could be worth it.
Yeah, but let's say let's look on it from some other angle. We'll be able to compile our application for browsers, for Android, and for server-side WebAssembly server-side.
Sure, but you still need, if it is for a browser, you're going to need to target some specific APIs. But if it's for a
Yes.
server or Android, you're going to need different APIs through WASM or whatever.
Yeah,
Unless you're saying it's
but
just the core logic processing and not even networking.
yes, that's it.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
So that's how like Google utilize Jekyll itself.
Right, that's true. Yes.
So and one company which has been blamed for destroying open source community last days have
Uh-huh.
has a department that are working on WebAssembly as on the containers and so on. So they're quite focused on WebAssembly as a platform for within like for for maybe 20 next year. So
Sure, sure. Well, that will be interesting too.
yeah. So yeah, thank you. I have to go to do parenting stuff and so on.
All right, I'm going to hit the be right back button. Think you have one more minute for me?
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody. Be back in just a few minutes. All right, I'm back. We just talked a little more about what other integration stuff he was looking at and other stuff that I've been playing with too that would be fun to do better here with WebAssembly. Awesome. In worse news, it looks like the tests are still not running properly, so we are still having a problem here in Windows. So we are not as ready as I'd hoped to get this landed. So let's, how do you clear? Close? Clear. Is there no clear? That's really disappointing. Oh. Let's see here. Let's just get the stack real quick and see what it's stuck on, if there's anything there specific. Maybe it'd be better just to look at the logs instead and see if it wrote something for us. We are in documents. And which test did it fail already? Annotation processing and IT tests. At least there's an error here. Non-resolvable. Oh. That's weird. Did we have a network hiccup that killed things? That would be irritating if that stopped everything from working properly. It sure looks that way. Oh, it's catching the Control-C in the wrong task. Alright, let's try this one more time then. I'm going to skip the invoker stuff for right now. And we'll just get the archetypes, because that's a quicker way of validating this stuff. And then we'll watch for the simple test to run and see if we get the same errors that we did previously. Okay. Well, the first thing to be looking into, I gotta figure out why this is stuck here. I think this is probably just hung because it's been over an hour. First thing to look into is seeing what kind of changes he needed to get Jackal updated to latest. Oops, this is plugin fork. I want his Jackal fork. See what he had to do for this. Looks like this is my own branch. And then he probably has a different branch here for Jackal itself. Looks like he's got an old copy of that. Here's the WebAssembly one. Okay. Looks like just two big commits. Let's just read them one at a time to see how this ends up shaking out. So he had to use a new closure compiler, sorry, closure library, which we should update separately. This is probably, okay, this is merging up to date changes that Google made, I'm sure. Unless he actually rebased. Let's look at history. Yeah, he rebased all these. All these have his name on them also, which means he rebased them. All right, well, I've got about 5 minutes until it's time for me to go take care of lunch here. We've been on for, looks like 2.5 hours, including the, let's get this all warmed up. Looks like he turned this off specifically. There is some funniness around building certain artifacts. These should be compatible, though. We should be able to build both of them at the same time. I'm curious why he had to turn that off. It might just be for that variation. We'll try that out. And it looks like he just incremented the SHA instead of also bumping this, which is usually not how I do it, but not the end of the world. And I don't see any dependencies here changed. I'm quite sure we're going to have to go through and update other dependencies. Okay, a few other files we had to add as part of updating closure library. So we can probably land this as a single change, updating closure library. the version and also the dependencies. And then we're going to have to go through and escape velocity. What's escape velocity? Templating engine. It's basically velocity. That's funny. All right, looks like it's a new dependency of Jackal. So they're probably using this to update velocity. Just curious if we got any names we know in here from our GWT work. Looks like it's been pretty quiet. Couple of names here doing most of the contributions. So yeah, us Collins, productive developers, I guess. Depending on whether or not you like his work, I guess. All right, let's see what the other commit was. And then I think I've got enough information to say the basics are at least there. Okay, that's interesting to turn that off. It must not work anymore. Looks like mostly version changes. We've got a new project, which will have some of its own dependencies. Interesting that we have to add an entire file here. Vertispan specific, though. That's an interesting way to do this. Maybe this is the moral equivalent of JS interop. I'm curious that we'd have these added as new files, though. Hey, J Hill Bounce. Sorry, I missed your message. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you appreciate it. I certainly do too. This is still new to me in a lot of ways. I'm curious why this has to get added, that they didn't have it already. Or if it's in a different place in their own code. That is irritating that we have to build target by target. I hope they didn't break anything upstream that prevents us from doing this the way we used to. But it should at least have the same pieces here. This is the JRE itself. We need a jar for the JRE and a JS file for the JRE. What is Android? What did I miss here for Android? For the web J2 WebAssembly.java? I used Android for years. This is my first phone that's not an Android, because I got fed up with it not getting updates after like a year of ownership. And it is frustratingly good. I think we can use it on this. Oh, I missed a message. I think we can use it on the server side as well. Great to reuse logic, maybe with Java to Kotlin on Android. Yeah, okay. Well, you just find an Android phone that is worth a damn, and I don't have to buy a new one every year. Okay. This is another new dependency. Internal dependencies. Yep, this one makes sense. I'm guessing there's going to be an assembly to go with this. We'll see. The path is, okay, so there's just a source jar for that, and then empty java.jar. Okay, so following what I did for the other stuff. Cool. Okay, but without the versions updated, we're almost certainly going to work, but just not necessarily be very happy with some of the versions we've got. So I think we're going to want to walk this like we've done in the past and go through and find all the Java library where they've updated dependencies, and also update our POMs to match. But it looks pretty straightforward. I think the closure one we should land first, and then we can see about what else has to go in here. All right. Well, it is just about time for me to step away here. I at least need to get some lunch. I may be joining again later on to finish this monster. Oh, the build failed. Are we getting more file system problems? Failed to delete. Yeah, for whatever reason, even on the C drive, I can't delete files. This isn't really a Jackal problem at this point. This is Windows is just absurd. So we'll have to get that sorted. I am cautiously optimistic, though, that since we saw the Windows test succeed, that we're going to be able to land this whole thing now. I don't want just that one. I want all of the jobs that failed or were ignored. So if we can get this updated, and then I can go through and finish the last few points I had here. Maybe I'll do this afternoon. Get this landed, and we'll ship a new version. And then we'll start updating Jackal again. Looks pretty good, though. I think we might have gotten everything. It'd be amazing. I'm getting distracted. I should go eat lunch and also do my own parenting junk. Yeah, I've got everything marked as resolved, except this one. Okay, we need this one to get fixed. Need to return to this and invalidate the entry if it turns out there used to be a dependency that is no longer present. Okay. So this is a bad enough one that we should ship it turned off if I can't fix it. And if I can fix it, then we can say, okay, you can, sorry, if I can't fix it, we can ship it, we can have it turned off by default, and then you can turn it on if you know how to handle this case, which is basically going to be a clean of that particular project. Okay, we're going to have to revisit this then. Task scheduler Java, line 230. Okay, one way or the other, I will... Oh, that is not the right line number. It must have changed. Deserialize its inputs list and use its outputs below. Maybe I already fixed this? I can't believe I would not have updated that if I had. It looks like it's current. There's 3 of these. Oh, look at that. I got a commit right about that time. Correctly use latest, not oldest. No, that's all right. And don't increment build if new dependencies. But we need removed dependencies. That's the problem. Okay, so I need to revisit this, make sure I understand what's happening in this loop. Because this is almost certainly the problem here that we need to go back and make sure we got this right. The risk is that if you have dependencies in the old file but not in the new file, the way I was processing this, I was not detecting removed stuff. Oh, this might be what this is about. Processing the removed... Well, no, this is too old. This is definitely too old. All right, well, we'll check this out. I'm going to go get some lunch, and then I'll be back, and I'll play with this a little more. If we can get this merged and do a little more smoke testing, then we will go ahead and do a release, because this is 21, and then we'll increment to 22 to get Jackal updated. And I think we're going to keep it pretty simple. Aside from updating Jackal and Clojure, we're not going to work too hard to land too many more features. Because then I got to return my attention to GWT 2.11. There's 2 main things that are left there, some JRE emulation that I'm working on, and I'm hoping for some community support on Jakarta to get Jakarta support. There's an open pull request that I have now with a couple of listed things there that need to get handled. The last time I streamed, which was at this point a month or so ago, I was playing with that, but I haven't had time to do that since then. So thanks, everybody. I will be back, not next week, not the week after, probably not the week after that, but you'll be able to find me in Gitter and at the Quit project as we wrap up this release. So thanks very much.